everybody, I'm Philip, and today we are going to watch Doom Patrol Season 1, Episode 7. When we last left off, we had found out about an existing group called Doom Patrol back in the mid to late 50s. It's a group of superheroes that tried to take on Mr. Nobody and failed in very interesting fashion. Because I am completely new, I've never read the comics, so all of this is new to me. I don't know anything about this story at all. I wasn't expecting Doom Patrol to already be a thing and exist. I assumed that this group was going to become Doom Patrol. But it was pretty cool to see that it existed. So let's continue this evolution and see what happens. We'll see, does Hammerhead say something bitchy? Will Larry mope? Will Rita continue to try and be a good person? Will Victor still think that there is good and there is evil and that is it? And will Cliff... Cliff's on a strange journey with his daughter and then this surrogate and mostly baby doll. But yeah, only one way to find out, and that's to watch it. So without further ado, let's get into it.
We don't get our shit together right here, right now, Mr. Nobody is gonna fuck us.
Yeah.
He's gonna fuck us in our brains. I don't know what kind of freaky shit your souls are into, and I'm not one to judge, but I want to keep my soul unfucked. No?
It's been dance classes, voice lessons, acting workshops ever since she was old enough to coo.
Oh, well, that's
God.
a start. And what about school?
No other children to distract her. She's got pictures in her future.
What's your name, little one?
My name is... Your stage name, darling.
Good morning, Hammerhead.
Oh, what the fuck is wrong with your neck?
Please, no rats, no rats.
Oh, it has to be so dirty.
The person who is sick of being judged is me. The person who deserves this is me.
Swallow the whole damn town if I wanted to.
Hot playing doctor with Benjamin Quincy behind the swing sets.
I swear, if that woman accuses my son of being a queer, I'm...
Please, you know it's true. And now your son is going to cost us our standing at school, at church. We could lose everything.
Yo, Larry.
I don't change. I'm still the gaslighting, insecure hypocrite who ruined other people's lives instead of owning my own shit.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
The threat of losing everything if anyone so much as questioned my sexuality. Add the 2 boys found dead and hogtied outside Pendleton. You want to know what's missing from this fantasy? Fucking context. You want to be a hero? Go ahead. I want to see the sunset.
I'm scared.
Of what, honey?
Dad, he told me not to climb the trees.
Team meeting in 15.
You're not the chief!
All social media notifications had been filtered by the master user, Silas Stone.
They were distractions. You had no right. Call me Vic.
Okay, cyborg. LOL.
Swipe left.
So you play football, huh?
Yeah. What is this?
You wanted to know Mel better.
Oh.
Hold up. Is this video live?
Yes, tapping security camera on City Bus 66 inbound.
I didn't ask for this.
Desire was clear.
Since when did you start reading my subconscious? Grid, delete my cache profile.
What's with the test?
I'm hungry, okay? Can a guy try to remember what it was like to eat a piece of toast without being interrogated like a goddamn criminal?
Fuck this place!
Yeah, I know it's like to talk to you all the time.
No, stop it!
I like how all roads lead back to that moment.
I don't know what happened to us. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better.
Be better now.
Be better.
Gonna be. Oh.
Yo, Larry. Meanwhile, Bump Weathers is stuck taking your kid to a shrink so she can whine about her dead mommy.
Ooh.
You son of a bitch, you stole my life! Ah!
Hmm?
Illiterate shitheel! You're not fooling anyone!
Oh, okay. I see.
Careful, he's going nuts.
Yeah.
Come here, you little...
Boom! Angle slam.
What is wrong with me? All I want to do is cry. My brain, it's screaming for release. Oh God, it should have been gay.
I was stuck in a furnace and nobody could hear my screams.
See? A powerful metaphor for what we're all feeling.
It was a literal furnace. Mr. Nobody turned them against each other, using their secrets. All I know is that Rita Farr was not a good person. Rita was an illusion.
What, your room? You have a lover's quarrel with your flowers? Gotta go have makeup sex? We can all hear you yelling at yourself, pal.
At the spirit, it gets lonely. Not touching anyone for 60 years. The last person I ever touched was John Bowers. I loved him, and I drove him away.
I just want you to know that you're loved and accepted.
I'm not done.
Okay, all right.
I'm only sharing this because it's the thing Mr. Nobody shoved in my face. If Mr. Nobody's goal is to torture me, well, I've been doing his work for him, whipping myself in a prison of my own making. Thing inside me, and it's hurting me back endlessly until there's so much self-loathing I can barely breathe.
I killed my mom.
Whoa.
What the hell could be worse than me killing my own mother? And there is this tiny voice in my head that believes Mr. Nobody when he says that my memories aren't real. Is that the human part, or is that my logic boy running game on my brain? As far as I can remember, I've never really trusted my father. So that's not new, but...
My turn to share.
Oh shit.
What, you wanted secrets out in the air? Well, here's a big one.
Don't be so vindictive.
You made this up.
The hangman's daughter doesn't lie.
Well, this has been productive.
You'll never be a father because you aren't even a man.
I'm the only one here who can stand you, and I only like 1/64th of you. Jane, I'm sorry.
Ooh, German suplex. What? Aww. Aww.
Oh, little one, such heartbreak. And then you need to fuck his mind, fuck his heart, and fuck his soul. Think you can do that, little fella?
Prepare to die. Aw.
Morning, Rita. Team meeting in 15.
I was thinking to myself, this seems like the most normal, down-to-earth episode that we've had. And then, yeah, there's a rat inside a cliff the whole time. That was sent there because Mr. Nobody Put it on the path of revenge, Admiral Whiskers. It's fine. It's fine. I've seen donkeys act as portals. I've seen horses sing prophecy. I have now seen a mouse climb inside of a robot man to fuck his mind, his heart, and his soul. Prior to that, though, I did like where it was going with the group therapy and all that. I like that it was, it used the trope of this is the conclusion, but here's how we got there from all the different points of view, and told everyone's story with a backstory, like a very brief backstory of them as children in the beginning. I think it's, usually I like to talk for a bit about the episode, but I think it's best we just go to the notes directly, because it definitely just like so much happened with all the different backstories and it's streamlined in the notes. So we're going to go straight to the notes.
Philip's notes.
So I said we get the different backstories with everyone. Very brief, moments in their lives as children. With Rita, she doesn't go to school. She doesn't even have a real identity. Her identity is Rita Farr. That's her stage name. With Larry, it was, he was playing doctor or whatever with a boy, and it was found out, and it was 1935, and the mom's like, we could lose everything, school and church, and it's hard to not go on a rant about that. Because it's like there's two minds, there's two schools of thought. One, you understand it and you're like, yeah. Two, you don't understand it and it's preaching to a deaf choir. So then we get Vic and his relationship with his mom, and how understanding she was in the face of his dad's just sternness. We get Jane in the crib and basically telling us that she's unloved and unwanted. And then we get Cliff and watching him as a boy, watching his father abuse his mom. And that line, I'm gonna be better. So I think it was really cool that we get all of these different looks into their past at the core, of who they are. Rita doesn't know who she is. Larry has been told since he was a boy that how he was born is wrong, and he's a burden and a liability. Vic was close to his mom, and Jane was unloved, and Cliff grew up in an abusive household. So all these stories converge. We start at the beginning, with therapy, where they're all in the room, and that is the end result. And as said, they take all their different paths to get there. I am getting a little out of patience with Hammerhead, with Jane. I get why she is the way she is, and I understand it. I do. And I'm not asking for the character to be all sweet and sunshine and everything, but it's getting a little old hat what it's going to be, because this is who she is. It's like she goes for the lowest common denominator all the time. And to me, if you do that, to me that's the easy road to take with someone, pointing out their flaws, their physical shortcomings, or what have you. If that's the way you have to operate, then to me, you yourself are showing yourself as the lowest common denominator, because that's as high as you can go. It's like people who will make fun of me for my physical shortcomings and not taking the time to understand, not taking the time to know my backstory, even though it's available for everyone to watch, not taking the time to realize that there's always more than meets the eye. So when Jane walks by, or when Hammerhead walks by, and she's like, what the fuck is wrong with your neck? That wasn't necessary. And that's kind of the point. I know that's the point. Like when someone attacks me physically, it's like, was that necessary? No. But that's the point. It's not necessary. It's the easy road. It's the path of least resistance, because it's the easiest path to take. It's easy to make fun of someone for their looks or their body or, what have you, because that's all you have to go on. And to dig any deeper would take work on your part. Who needs to do the work when you can just judge someone for what you see and not for who they are? And again, I'm not trying to go down some holier than thou road, or there's been a couple episodes where I get really just bogged down in self-reflection, and I don't want to do that. But this show has unexpectedly made me reflect so much on myself and my own life and stuff I've went through. You know, you can identify. I think most people can in some way. There's their self-identity. Who are we? Rita's trying to figure that out. You know, I can definitely identify with Larry and feeling like a piece of shit, you know, just not fitting in and not understanding why and I was never abused growing up for that. I was just abused for other reasons. At home. At school, yes, I was very much bullied. I've talked about it before. To try and pretend you're someone you're not, and I've done that too. I've tried to deny who I am and who I was and am and all that. So I can identify with Larry 100%. And the fear. We talked about the fear. 100%, yeah. And that's a luxury. That's a luxury that a lot of people have, that a lot of people don't understand, is fear. Like, imagine being afraid of who you are, being afraid of people finding out who you are, being afraid to go in public, being afraid to be with someone in public, being afraid to do anything, because the repercussions could be very severe, and they have been for me, which I've also discussed. So I 100% understand where Larry's coming from in that respect. Then you have Victor, and, you know, his mom treats him like a person, like her son. You know, something he's not getting from his dad. And he even said in the episode, you know, he didn't trust his dad. And I was like, I'm glad that he's not so blind with the situation. Like the stealing the thing out of his dad's pocket wasn't like the big eye opener, like, oh my God, my dad, you know. It was just like, okay, yeah. And then you have Jane and being unloved. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us can identify with being unloved, be it for external, internal, you know, reasons. You know, you could correlate that to Larry and him feeling unloved. You know, Larry wanted to love but couldn't love because of the fear of his love. Jane just wants to be loved, where Rita wants to be accepted for who she is and figure out who she is, but she can't do that because she doesn't know who she is. So how can you accept yourself if you don't know who you are? You know, Victor just wants his dad's love. Cliff wants a bond. He wants to feel, like the parts where he was saying, I want to cry. My brain just, like, imagine that you have all of this going on, but you can't feel it. You can express it, but you can't, like, feel it. You can scream and you can punch things and you can destroy everything, but at the end of the day, it goes back to what he was saying, I think in episode 1, where he found out about it, 1 or 2, I think it was episode 1 though, where he found out about his family and he was just like banging his head. And he's like, I can't feel any pain. Like, he wanted to feel something. And this was taken up, like, you know, it was magnified. Lots of moving parts in this one. Lots of moving parts. It was cool that we got some more character development, this time in relation to the group and sharing the secrets that Mr. Nobody is using against them. The entire time Cliff's acting really erratic, really weird, you know, and then it all boils down to that there was a rat inside of him. I don't know. It's just, it's fine. It's just weird. I thought the actress who played Rita as a little girl did a really good job at looking starstruck when she was talking to Ethel. I thought that was a really, really well done. And poor Rita, she just cannot control her transformation. You know, the person who deserves this is me. I'm a ball of slime, but maybe I was a ball of slime all along. Then she says, but maybe I can be the best ball of slime I can be. Trying to take that negative and turn it into a positive. So I do like that. And then at the end, when she was sharing, well, she was comfortable with sharing, because we still haven't found out about the baby or that lady that slit her wrists. She shared her way back to having legs. So there you go. Take the power away from the moment. And I think Cliff said something to that respect. He had a lot of therapy speak in that last act. And then we have Larry reliving one of his biggest regrets, but he's so focused on the details. And even Jane says something to the effect of him being OCD. Like, he's focused on all the little things. This is wrong. The truck is blue, not green. There's a train, etc., etc., instead of focusing on the moment. And then he finally has that moment. I did like the line, you want to be a hero, go ahead. I want to see the sunset. I thought that was nice. And seeing stuff like that just makes me think of how hard it was for John. Like, he said he only got 1 hour a week. Imagine you're in love with someone, but you're not allowed to be, because society tells you that it's wrong or that you're mentally ill. Even though I would argue that being brainwashed into believing something for no other reason than profit and fear is its own mental issues. But I will not go on a rant. I said I wasn't going to. I'm not. But yeah, poor John, he's in love with Larry, and let's move on to something else. Then we go to Victor, and then we find out there's this app called Cash, which is basically like Tinder, that he couldn't access because of his dad's parental controls. He turned off all of his social media. He had like hundreds of responses. Talks to this lady. She seems really nice. And then the program gets all the information on her, and that was just like, it's a little intrusive. It doesn't begin to describe it. Holy crap. Then he sees her on the bus talking to him. He sends her a picture of himself with his robo abs, and she is, well, turned off. And that was sad, and he deletes it. But it's just interesting to think about the amount of control his father exerted over him and the reasoning behind it. I like the idea, and we'll get to it in a minute. I like the idea of where this is going, because I kind of brought it up in a past episode about what's going on with Victor. Jane is in full-on reactionary mode, or Hammerhead, or whoever. Hangman's daughter, whoever, is in full-on reactionary mode. Except for the part of her that's like, please stop. But there's a painting of Niles, has bastard written over it. She's very upset, because it's easier to react than to try and come to a logical conclusion. But Jane does not, Hammerhead. Hammerhead does not deal in logic. Hammerhead deals in emotion. I've said before, especially on Doctor Who's, in the seasons with She Who Shall Not Be Named, that if you are ruled by your emotions, it's probably not the best. Yeah. And then those moments of self-destruction where she's destroying the tapes. But then the other part of her saying, no, stop it, no. Like these are memories, moments. You're overreacting. It was the opposites. It was destruction versus, empathy. Stop. Rage versus kindness. And just here we'll go back and forth. She was destroying these tapes and memories and stuff. One would think that Niles would have backups, but so yeah, she's full on loathing with the chief, even though he hasn't had a chance to explain himself. But I do see on paper, I even said so myself in episode 6, that Niles might not be as good as people like Jane thinks he is. But it's gonna be hard for her because he rescued her. He's been the loving paternal figure that she's always wanted. So she's gonna feel betrayed. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. And then I said we had Cliff going off the deep end. He goes to confront the dad of Clara, saying, you stole my life, you ruined Clara. I mean, it was all in his head, but it was like, nah, sometimes it's best not to know. And then we have the whole part where he wanted to cry, he wanted to release, and he just, obviously he can't because he's a brain in a metal body. And then he says it should have been Kate that came back, that survived somehow instead of him. And then we get to therapy. We get to therapy. And then the idea that, we need to talk, we need to get these things out because Mr. Nobody turned the previous group against each other and used our secrets against them. So yeah, they're like, we need to start talking to each other. This goes full circle back to the beginning of the episode. And then there's Rita, she says, if there's no Rita Farr, I don't know what I am. And yeah, like her whole identity has been Rita Farr from, So it's... Larry says it gets lonely not touching anyone for 60 years. Man, can you imagine? The poor guy, the thing I brought up a little earlier is Victor's memories. I said that the footage of the accident in the lab didn't look right. Then he even said, are these memories my own? Or are they part of the program in the motherboard, inside there, put there by his dad to manipulate the situation? And then we get to Jane, and Flit teleports away, comes back, and she brought the painting that was painted of Victor holding his dad. And just wow. The whole therapy scene was really cool. It was really cool. It was cool to see people let their guard down. It was cool to see Jane in any incarnation not be a massive, dick to people. It's all going back to, the issues from their childhood, which is cliche, but it's there for a reason. Your formative years obviously have an impact on who you are as an adult. So if you felt unloved you're going to be guarded, even though you want nothing more than to be loved. You know, if you've had your identity spelled out for you from a young age, you're not going to know who you are. Not really. If you're told that you're evil and bad and a liability and dangerous for being who you are from a young age, you're going to grow up guarded and paranoid and protective of yourself. I mean, it makes sense why Larry is so OCD and, you know, self-obsessed. He's had to be. He's had to watch every move, everything, for years and years. You know, so we have, you know, Rita admitting she doesn't know who Rita Farr is. You know, we have Larry admitting that he's lonely and the last person he touched was John. You know, we have Victor admitting that he killed his mom. We have Jane not really admitting anything other than the painting. Because then we get to that showdown kind of thing between Cliff and Hammerhead. I just say Jane because it's easier. Where Jane says, you know, you can never be a father because you're not even a man. And it's like, fucking come on. Like, stop it. I've known a couple people in my life that always need to go for the jugular. Because that gives you power. You have power in there's a power in being just unabashedly mean. There's a sense of satisfaction in what you're doing. When you wield that weapon and you attack someone with it, there is a sense of glee almost. It's fucked up, it is. It's just the constant low blows. And if you have to, like I said before, if you have to make the low blow all the time, because that's all you got, you know, try harder would be my advice. Or maybe just stop being a dick. Because I know I have a hard time with people who think they can treat anyone any way they want, but no one can say boo to them. I know people like that. Some of them are family. I don't talk to a lot of people that are related to me. Because a lot of people that are related to me are not good people. Without making it all like melodramatic about me, I did learn many years back that blood does not equal family. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. And then Cliff responds to Jane's with, I'm the only one that can stand you, and I only like 1/64th of you. And then, of course, she stomps off all butthurt and mad. But it's like, you can say whatever mean fucking shit you want, but somebody fires back at you and you have to like, my feelings. Nah, fuck you. Like, so yeah, Jane stomps out and Cliff short circuits pretty much. And Admiral Whiskers crawls out. We get that short little backstory that his mom was killed by the bus, and Mr. Nobody set him on the path of revenge. Yeah. So Jane's pissed, but Cliff has the "it wasn't me" thing to fall back on. You know, I wasn't in my right mind. I was being manipulated by a rat. And that's all for my notes. Everything else are for my patrons over on Patreon. I can't close this correctly, apparently. There we go. Overall, it was a good episode. I've said before many times that, you know, the slow evolution we're having of this group as people, but it's moving in bigger steps now. Rita is realizing what she needs to do, what she's trying to do. With Larry, he's finally understanding the lesson, I think, that the Spirit is trying to teach him. You weren't a good person. You weren't a hero. Like, he's so oblivious to it. It reminds me of when John says something to him, you know, you want to be like a role model to a country that hates you. And Larry says, what? Nobody hates me. Like, he just didn't. Much like with Rita, like they both, there's a similarity between Rita and Larry, and that they're both having they were both taught to play roles, to not be who they are, and for the benefit of either society or their parents and their future, respectively. So I understand the relationship, the friendship that Rita and Larry have, because there's a lot of common ground there they have. So it's cool to see them make strides. Cliff is struggling with Clara and this other guy raising her and all that. But it's hard to say. Cliff's, you know, involvement in this episode is kind of like negated because he was under the influence of Rat the entire time. And it's damn near impossible to make any progress with Jane because there are too many of her. And the dick one always has to destroy everything as a defense mechanism, lashing out, reactionary, as we saw in this episode. So it's going to be very, very intriguing where we go, how long it's going to be before Jane forgives Cliff and all this stuff. I'm not looking forward to that, to be honest with you. But I do like the progress that we have made. And also with Victor owning up to what happened, but also owning up to, not sure if he can trust his memories or his dad. He's not as blind to the situations around him as I thought he was. So that's a cool thing. So that will be another intriguing thing to see how that unfolds, especially if that painting comes true. We'll see how we get there, though. Because right now, his dad's kind of a douche. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future. But that is, of course, in the future. And this is the present. And presently, we are going to wrap this one up. As always, I don't have a fancy outro. So simply say, thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.